there, sewing friends. It's your girl Folaye and you're welcome back to the channel. If today is your first time of checking out this channel, you're welcome. Thank you for stopping by. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always being here. Today's tutorial will be on how to draft a blouse pattern. Yes, that is what today's tutorial will be about. And before we go right into it, if you're yet to subscribe to my channel, please do that now. Consider subscribing by clicking on the red subscribe button down below. That subscribe button, yes, just give it a tap. And also, turn on the notification bell beside it so you get notified each time I upload a new video. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So guys, the measurement I'm working with is right there on your screen, as you can see it, and I have my pattern paper on fold. So to determine the amount of fabric you will fold in like manner, you take the circumference of the largest part of your body, either the bust, the waist, or the hip. So quarter of that plus 3 inches. The largest circumference of your measurements divided by 4 plus 3 inches. So the largest circumference of the measurement I'm working with is the bust measurement, which is 37 inches. So 37 inches divided by 4, that is 9 1/4 inches. And I added 3 inches to it, that is 12 1/4 inches, which is what I have on fold here. At this point, I even have 12 3/4 inches. So that is what I have on fold. That will help you to determine the amount of fabric you are to fold. So I'll be drafting the front and the back together. Just watch as I do it. And I already ruled my starting line, which will also serve as my shoulder line. So the first thing I'll be doing is to insert my vertical measurements. That is the measurement from the nape of your neck along your body. So first I'll be inserting half of my armhole to get the chest line. And how do you get that? That is your bust circumference divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. So the bust circumference I'm working with is 37 inches. 37 divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches, that is 7 3/4 inches, which is what I've insert here. 7 3/4 inches. I will also insert it here to get a straight line. Then I will insert my bust point, which is 10 inches. My waist line, which is 15.5 inches, that is 15.5 inches. So just take your measurements to know what to input on your pattern. Then the hip line, which will also be the length of my blouse, is 24 inches. 24 inches right there. Now what I will do is to rule them into straight lines. Now I will insert my horizontal measurements. First, I will insert the 3 inches 8 inches standard to get the shoulder slope. So 3 inches and 8 inches. So at the 8 inches points, I'll come down by 1 inch and connect it to the 3 inches point. Now, my shoulder measurement is 15 inches. So 15 inches divided by 2, that is 7.5 inches. So I will input my shoulder measurement right here on the shoulder line, 7.5 inches, and also on the chest line. So let me label the lines. This is the chest line, this is the bust point, this is the waist line, and this is the hip line, and also the length of my blouse. Now I will rule my shoulder line, joining it from the shoulder line to the chest line, which is the armhole line. So this is my armhole line. Then I'll get the midpoint of what I have from the shoulder slope right here to the chest line. You get the midpoint. Yeah, I have 7 inches, so that is 3.5 inches. I'll come in by 3/4 inch for the front armhole, while this still remains for the back armhole. Now, quarter of my bust measurements, your bust circumference divided by 4, that is 9.25 inches, which is what I will input right here, 9.25 inches. Then for my waistline, quarter of that, my waist circumference is 29 inches, divided by 4, that is 7.25 inches, which is what I will put here. You can add his allowance of 1/4 inch, quarter inch to half inch, but I will leave it at the exact measurements. And for the hip measurement, quarter of my hip measurement is 8.75 inches. Can you see it right there? Now I'm still coming back to my seam allowance. Let me connect it in like manner. At this point, you can make use of your hip cuff or your straight ruler. Now, coming back to the armhole area, I will, using my armhole cuff, I will connect from quarter of my bust measurement here to the front armhole. Don't forget, we came in by 3/4 inch here for the front armhole, because the front armhole goes in deeper than the back armhole. So I'll connect it in like manner. Then for the back armhole, I will also connect from quarter of my bust measurement to this point. So this is the front armhole, while this is the back armhole. Now going over to the dart, we have 3 options here for the dart. 3 options of darts to use. You can make use of a waist dart or the princess dart. That is the connection of the waist dart to the armhole dart. Or you can also make use of the princess dart bustier. At this point, that means you want to push the boobs up. You want to give it a boost if you are making use of the princess dart bustier. But if you are making use of the waist dart or the classic princess dart, that will just be a normal dart. So I'll be making use of the normal waist dart here. But if you prefer to use the princess dart, that is the connection of the waist dart and the armhole dart. I have a detailed video on that. And also, if you want to make use of the princess dart bustier, there's also a detailed video on that, where the links to these videos are in the description box below. But for this tutorial, I'll be making use of the waist dart. So to determine our dart location, you have to take the measurements of your bust span. That is the measurement from one nipple point to another. Mine is 8 inches. So I will insert that on the bust point. So you divide it by 2. 8 inches divided by 2, that is 4. I will insert it here. And also on the waistline, 4 inches. Don't forget, you divide your bust span by 2. And also on the hip line. And I will connect with my ruler. Now, on the waist dart, remember I said I'll be using the waist dart for this tutorial. I'll take in 1/2 inch on both sides. You can go as far as taking in 3/4 inch or 1 inch on both sides, but 1/2 inch is what I'll be making use for this tutorial. So I have 1/2 inch on both sides. Then on the bust point, you come down by 1 inch. You come down by 1 inch. Can you see that? And on the hip line, you will go up. Can you see it? By 2 inches. Can you see that? And I will connect it from the 1/2 inch on the waistline, which will be my dart. I will connect it to the upper part here. And also connect it to the lower part. Don't forget, you go up by 2 inches from your hip line for the front. This is the front pattern. So this is the normal waist dart for the front. Now, going over to my side seam allowance. For the bust area, I will add 1 inch side seam allowance. You can add between 1 to 2 inches side seam allowance. And if you are adding a lining to your blouse, make sure you add 1/2 inch as well to the blouse. That is to join the fabric itself to the lining. Don't forget that. And also for the waist, I will add 1 inch. And we are going to add whatever we take in as our dart back to the measurements we have here. So I took in 1/2 inch on both sides. 1/2 plus 1/2, that is 1 inch. Plus 1 inch side seam allowance, that is 2 inches. So we had 2 inches right here. Please don't forget that if you take in 3/4 inch on both sides for your dart, that is 1.5 inches. 3/4 plus 3/4 will be 1.5 inches, plus whatever you want to add as your side seam allowance, you add it back to what we have here. Now, also for the hip line, I will add 1 inch allowance, and I will connect. Now coming over to the neckline, I'll take a neck width of 3.5 inches. I have 3 inches here, so the 1/2 inch will be on the slope right here. So the neck width of 3.5 inches and the neck depth. For the back depth, I'll make it 2 inches. For the back, neck depth for the back, and for the front, I'll make it 5 inches. So at this point, you can use any neckline of your choice. So for the back neckline, I'll be making use of a round neckline for the back. So and for the front neckline, I'll make it a V neck. So a V neckline in like manner. So since I'm cutting both the front and the back pattern, I'm drafting them together. I'll be cutting out the back neckline and the back armhole first. So at the upper part here for the shoulder, I will go up by 1/2 inch. I'll just add 1/2 inch allowance. That is to join both shoulders together. To join both the front and the back shoulders together. So this is our front pattern. The next thing I'll do now is to cut it out. So I'll be cutting the back neckline and the back armhole first because I'm drafting both together. So I'll cut now. So this is the pattern paper on fold for the back pattern, and I'll place the front pattern on it in like manner. But the first thing I will do is to take in my zipper allowance. Now there will be a zipper allowance for the blouse at the back. So I'll take a zipper allowance of 1 inch. So you can make your zipper allowance 1.5 inches if you are adding a lining to your blouse. So make it 1.5 inches so that 1/2 inch will be to join the fabric itself to the lining. So I'll take a zipper allowance of 1 inch in like manner. Now I will place it on it, starting from the zipper line here, the zipper allowance here. I will place it in like manner. Can you see it? You can pin it down. But I'll place an object on it. So I will cut it out now. Now I've used the front pattern to cut out the back pattern. So the next thing I will do now is to notch my waistline and to know where my waistline is so that I can use it to draft the back dart. No, we are not going to be using the same dart length for the front and the back. So can you see, this is my waistline. But before that, let me finish up the front pattern by cutting the front neckline and the front armhole. Can you see the difference? The front armhole comes in deeper. It comes in deeper than the back armhole. Now, before I go to the back pattern, what I will do to the lower part here is to cuff it. You wouldn't want it to be pointed in like manner. So I'll just go up by 1.5 inches. So 1.5 inches right here. And make a cuffy effect towards the hem. Can you see it? Can you see? And I will cut it out. This is just to give it a cuffy effect towards the hem at this point. Now going back to the back pattern, I'll put the front pattern aside. So this is I already notched the waistline, which is right here. I'll just rule it out. So this is the waistline and this is the chest line. So that is all we need for the back dart. Can you see it? So on the waistline, I will take in half of my bust span measurement, which is 4 inches. Make sure your measurement is after you start it from the zipper allowance. Don't make that mistake, please. So 4 inches right here, and also on the chest line, I will insert 4 inches, and towards the hem too, on the hip line, 4 inches, and rule them into a straight line. Now, I will also take in 1/2 inch on both sides for the waist dart. And on the chest line, our dart will start from 1 inch. Can you see it? Below the bust, below the chest line rather. 1 inch below the chest line, and also 1 inch. Can you see? You come up by 1 inch above the hip line for your back dart. So I will connect it in like manner. So the back dart, the back dart length is always longer than the front length. So I'll connect my dart in like manner. So that is that. Can you see our dart? You can see the difference to the front dart. You can see that it is longer. Can you see? Longer than the front dart. Now what I will do now is to open it up at this point. To be joined with this zipper. So I will open it up. So guys, we've come to the end of this tutorial. If this tutorial has been helpful, give this video a giant thumbs up, click on the like button, yes, and also if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do that now. Kindly click on the subscribe button down below and subscribe. Also turn on the notification bell so you get notified each time I upload a new video. Thank you for joining me. and I will see you in my next video. Bye.